Hello and welcome to another episode of Lucky These Stories. Before we start this episode, I want to specifically call out all my episodes. I always had my family behind. Today, Zena, Akam, and Tegs are not here. So, Zena, Akam, and Teg, if this episode doesn't go well, I'm putting it on you. Because she brings and they bring a lucky charm to this episode. But this episode is very special in many ways because there is an initiative that we started last year, um, a food pantry, and my kids are very heavily involved in running that. And in last 2 weeks, I had an opportunity to meet Miranda Muro, who is the senior director for network relationship for food share. Right? Is that a right way to say?
Yep.
Okay. And she came to inspect our place and we connected. And in my discussion, I asked her if she would be open to come and speak about what that means from her perspective and how she contributes the work that she does and helps many food pantries out there. As I understand, there are approximately 480 food pantries that you support, and that's a big number. So, without any further ado, let me welcome Miranda Muro. Welcome to our episode, Lucky These Stories.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I know it's a hour drive for you on a
Yes.
weekend, but you still found a time. I truly, truly
Yeah.
appreciate. Um, so, who is Miranda Muro? Can you
Oh, that's a
share?
big
That's a big
question.
question, but let's start there.
Yeah. So, I'm a wife, a daughter, a sister. I love my family, and they're a big motivator in all that I do. From a young age, my parents really raised me to give back and to think about my community. And I feel really lucky that I had that opportunity growing up. And I've really dedicated my life to nonprofit work. And now I work at Connecticut Foodshare. I've been at the food bank for about 12 years now, where I get to work with people who want to help and give back. And I get to talk to people who might be having a hard time affording enough food right now. And I'm able to help them find that help, that hope. It's the best job ever.
Thank you. And when I was talking to you 2 weeks ago, and you mentioned that there was a, I think, how old were you? Two or
Oh,
can you share that
sure.
story?
Yeah, I mentioned to you, and this, I remember this story a few years ago when I was in second grade. One of my friends, her name was Leah, and we organized a food drive. And I guess we raised a lot of food because at the time I remember the governor came to congratulate us for all the food that we raised.
Governor Jody Rail?
Yeah, it was Jody Rell. And I think that's really, I never knew I was going to work at a food bank, but I guess from a young age, it was something I really cared about. People should have access to their basic needs. And I feel that wholeheartedly that we're all better off when people have their basic needs met.
So, having that exposure at a very young age and giving that opportunity by your parents, how how do you navigate through become to where you are today? Because
Mm.
not everybody who loves what they like to do can get turned into a job, right? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think sometimes trying new things and seeing what doesn't work for you is how you find what does work for you. So for me, I didn't know when I was in second grade that I wanted to work at a nonprofit. I just knew that I like helping people. In high school, I organized different clubs. I organized Amnesty International and starting that at my school because I cared about others and that was what I was focused on. And then I went to college at Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts, where I studied sociology and urban development. I picked Clark University because a lot of what they do is they work with local nonprofits in the community. So every year when I was at college, I was able to volunteer at a nonprofit as part of my learning and what I was going to school for. I've worked in housing, I've worked in community organizing, and through all of that, I found what I enjoyed. And what I enjoyed most is being able to connect with the people I'm looking who are impacted by an issue and help lift up what they're experiencing to help find solutions. And so it wasn't a straight path. I started at Connecticut Foodshare fundraising and writing grants.
Same place where you work today.
Yeah, so that was 12 years ago. And I applied for a position because I was living in Massachusetts and I wanted to come home and be closer to my family. And I started fundraising for Connecticut Foodshare, writing grants. But what I found when I was writing grants is I really wanted to be on the other side. I wanted to be shaping the programs I was writing about. And
That's pretty
now I'm able
impressive.
to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is this the Connecticut Food Share? Is that one umbrella under the government from a state of
Yeah.
government, or there are many other food banks
That's
that
such a good question. So, we're not a state agency, we're a nonprofit, a 501c3 organization. We're not, we,
I'm sorry, what is five? I just want to
oh,
make sure that our
yeah.
viewer understand what that means.
Yeah, so a 501c3 organization is a charity, a public charity through the federal government. We're registered. There's for profit businesses, and we're a nonprofit organization, which means
Okay.
our goal, we have a mission that's part of charity to give back.
Okay.
So we're not part of the government. We do get some support from the federal and the state government, but we're independent from the government, a nonprofit. But we are part of Feeding America, which is a national organization, and it's food banks across the country. There's 198 food banks that are part of the Feeding America network. Every region in the United States has a Feeding America food bank. So in Connecticut, the Feeding America Food Bank is Connecticut Foodshare.
Wow.
And it's great to be part of a national network. Feeding America really helps nationally to help us understand best practices, to build relationships with national companies that can then help benefit the work that we do across the country and here in Connecticut.
So, yeah, so thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's a good insight. But if I have to see from an aerial view, there's a Connecticut government, state government,
sure.
right? How, I'm assuming the state government also have some sort of a food bank.
No, so the state of Connecticut doesn't have a food bank. The state of Connecticut has the Department of Social Services. They
Okay.
have the Department of Agriculture, and those are both state agencies
Okay.
that administer federal programs, federal food, like SNAP, or what people might call food stamps.
Okay.
And we enter into contract with the state. So the state contracts with Connecticut Food Share
I
to
see.
administer some of those programs.
Okay, so there is a social service department
Yep,
underneath. They do not own it, but they work with the different nonprofit organization, and your
sure.
company
Yep,
team has to be a part of that one organization. So
ex-
there are many others outside you.
so it depends on the program you're talking about, but when we're talking about Connecticut Foodshare's connection to the state of Connecticut, we receive what's called TFAP food, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. It's a federal program from the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
They administer it across the country. It's a program that's designed to improve food access for low income Americans. In Connecticut, that contract from the USDA goes to the state of Connecticut to then get TFAP food out to people in Connecticut. In Connecticut, the State Department of Social Services contracts with Connecticut Foodshare to then administer that food to food pantries and soup kitchens across the
I
state.
see. I
So
see.
we enter into contract with the state, but we're really separate from the
So you're
state.
more or less like they are the policy driven administrators,
Mm-hmm.
but then you get into contract with them and you have your certain rules and regulation which adheres with the government's policies,
Exactly. Yep.
and then you basically take the grant. So you become a liaison with the grants between the government and to
With
the
that food.
okay.
And that's just one part of what we do. Most of our food from the food bank doesn't come from the government. It's donated. It's
It's donated.
donated by farmers, by food manufacturers, by grocery stores. That's the vast majority of what we're doing separate from the government. We do want to make sure we're meeting certain guidelines for handling the food safely and making sure it gets to people in need. That's our mission, and that's why the food's donated to us. But there's a lot of different resources that go into what we do.
So if I am opening a food pantry, let's say in
Mm-hmm.
my town, and I go through the paperwork and I get everything what I need, the license that I get, is that the license given from you, or you are have a vested power from state of government to give us
No,
the
so
license?
you can start a food pantry on your own. You don't need Connecticut Foodshare's approval to start a food pantry.
Okay.
So if you want to start a food pantry in your town, the first step is to find a space
Okay.
and then to work with your local health department. So
Okay.
in the state of Connecticut, every single town has a health department that you would then work with to make sure you're meeting what their expectations are and how you're handling and distributing the food.
Okay.
You would probably want, it would help you to be a nonprofit, a 501c3 organization, because then you can accept donations.
Okay.
But that's all things you can do outside of Connecticut Food Share. What I would say, if anyone is looking to start a pantry, before you do, check to see if there's already a pantry in your town. Sometimes starting something new is good, but sometimes joining forces with something that already exists can make that even better. And we want to make sure when we're adding new pantries, we're really doing something different and meeting a need that's not already met. What we don't need is two pantries on the same street as each other operating at the same time, because at the end of the day, that's not offering something different to the community.
Okay.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
no, that it
Yeah,
does
that's
make
something
sense.
that we encourage. We love it when people want to start a pantry and help, and we want to make sure, what are you doing that's different? Or maybe the pantry in your town could really use another volunteer to help you make what they're doing even better in
Okay.
working together.
So I want to ask a question which I always had, that so let's say if I have open a food pantry
Mm-hmm.
and I have all what I need, I get an approval. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need a license, so to speak, but I also need to make sure that the health department
Yeah,
has blessed us and all that, and we
exactly.
have that non-profit established. Um, but then how does you come in a picture with the food pantry?
Sure, yeah. So Connecticut Foodshare, you referenced this number earlier. We serve 480 food pantries, soup kitchens, and emergency shelters across the state of Connecticut. All of those organizations applied at some point to be part of Connecticut Foodshare to receive food from Connecticut Foodshare. So if an organization is interested in working with us and getting food from us, they would need to apply to work with us. Right now, we have so much need in our community that we're not taking new partners, but we're always happy to have a conversation for when we are ready to accept new partners.
So when you say more need, what does that mean?
Yeah. So since 2020, food insecurity in Connecticut has risen by 40%.
What is that?
40%.
Wow.
So more than 500,000 people in Connecticut are food insecure, 1 in 6 children. The need, I've worked at our food bank for 12 years. I've never seen anything like this.
Do you think it is a part of the COVID?
Actually, during COVID, the need was great, but the support was there. So during the pandemic, we saw so many people experiencing food insecurity for the first time because they were losing their jobs. Maybe they had health issues. It was a really scary time. But we also had more support from the government. We had donations coming in. When restaurants were closed, the places that used to sell restaurants their produce, they had so much extra produce because the restaurants were open, they were donating that to us. So we had a lot of need, but we also had enough food and support coming in to help meet that need. Now, a few years later, after the pandemic, the need is still there, and I think it's getting worse because the cost of living is on the rise and people are really having a hard time making it all work. But the food and the support isn't what it was during the pandemic, it's less. So we're trying to serve more people with less resources.
Thank you. So, you know what fascinates me? You said 1 in 6,
Mm-hmm.
right?
1 in 6 children in Connecticut is food insecure.
And when you say food insecure means they don't have food that they need to survive in the.
Yeah, so it's a USDA measure. It's a fancy way of saying hungry, can't afford enough food. At some point, they don't have access to enough food because they can't afford it.
See, this is what and I'm speaking it from a mindset as an immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
I came in this country with a thought that this is the most powerful country on the face of earth,
Mm-hmm.
unlike any other people think. Even today, I think it is. But and we are still struggling with the basic needs that the kids needs from the food perspective.
Yeah, and if you take it even a step further, the state of Connecticut is one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest
Actually, that's
states.
it. My wife. I was asking my wife this morning, what question should I ask? I've tried this new thing, and I also asked earlier to someone behind the camera. I'm trying to ask what kind of question. My wife asked, like, ask them that this is one of the most wealthiest state in
Mm-hmm.
America, and yet we have. Last I remember, you mentioned how many food pantries we have? 600.
So Connecticut Foodshare serves 600 different sites. The food pantry is the kitchen plus where our trucks go with food.
600.
And that's just the organizations that are working with Connecticut Foodshare. We don't work
Wow.
with every pantry. There are so many more pantries
Can
and
you
soup
believe
kitchens
that?
out there. And what the good thing I will say about that is that means people in Connecticut want to help. They want to make a difference because it takes special people who are going to take their time, their energy to serve their community. But I believe so strongly people should not have to wait in line for food at a food pantry. There's enough food in this country, there's enough food in this state. But while people do have to wait in line, we want to make it as easy and welcoming as possible.
I'll ask a question. One of my friend, I asked him
Mm-hmm.
like, what question should I ask? He said to me that ask them, and I think that was a very thought-provoking question. He said, ask them, what is an objective of your organization or any organization
Mm-hmm.
who's trying to fight with a hunger, right? Is it something we continuously feed to the people who don't have the food, or the objective is to eradicate the food hunger? What, as an organization, that if you think, I don't know, is it making sense what I'm
It's
asking?
no, I'm smiling because that's the perpetual question we ask ourselves.
Yeah,
Are
so
we going to feed someone for today, or are we going to work on long-term solutions to
to
end?
eradicate this issue.
Because food insecurity, when someone needs help with food, they're going to a food pantry, maybe the food pantry you run. Their need is right now. They need
Right,
food. They need
right.
food for their families, for their children. But that need is a symptom of something much deeper that food alone is not going to
That's
solve.
exactly what I'm
It's
saying.
poverty, it's systemic issues
And
that
it's
are at play. And so
and the government has a bigger role to play to come in a picture to help, right? I'm
some
assuming.
would say,
Some
yeah,
would say, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but then in that case, when you are serving so many communities and you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to help, and you are always looking out for people like us who are also willing to do, there is a two side of the story. There is a liberal thought where they want to support, but there
Mm-hmm.
is also a conservative approach where they're saying, and I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
um, one of one of my friend who visited for the food pantry that we run, and there was this person who came.
Mm-hmm.
He looks, from outside, he looks perfectly fine. He came in the car, he had a jeep, and
Mm-hmm.
he went for a food. So he said, Lucky, do you think that that person really needs it, or people are sometimes misusing
Mm-hmm.
what you have to offer? My personal view on that was, if I start looking at every little things, who is it going to the right or not, I will lose the bigger picture to serve the bigger thought. So I would be okay to move. But from your lenses, from your food pantry
Yeah.
perspective, how do you see, or how do you justify that okay, whatever the purpose is to give a food to the table, like you said, 1 in 6, is it really making it their way, or sometimes the system is getting misused?
Mm. What I would say to that is that it's not our place to judge and know. Just looking at someone, you can't know their life, you
And
can't know what they're dealing with.
correct.
That person who had that car who was coming in, that car might be all they have. It might be what's getting them to work every day, but at night they're skipping meals so their kids can eat. We never know. You don't have to be under the poverty level to be food insecure. You can have a house, you can be paying your mortgage, you can be paying your electricity, but what we find is often people will skip food. They'll cut back on food. So,
In America.
yes.
In America.
Yes.
This is this
Yeah.
is this is what I'm not able to
Because
comprehend.
the cost of living is so immense. And for someone who has that car to take that step to come to the food pantry, that's a big step. That's a big step to say, I'm going to do what I need to do for myself, for my family, to make sure that we're secure, because we all need food. We all know this, right? We know what it's like when you're hungry. Imagine going like that for a very long period of time. It impacts you. You're not going to be able to perform at work. Kids aren't going to be able to perform at school. When we find that kids aren't getting enough food or the nutrients they need, there's actually more discipline issues at school because they're hungry. They can't focus on what's happening with their book or with their teacher because they need food. So we believe at Connecticut Foodshare, it's not our place to judge. If someone says, I need help with food, we believe you and we're going to give you food. The moment we start questioning that is when we're going to start setting up more barriers for people when it's already hard enough to take that step to go to a food pantry. We don't want to make it any harder.
So you just accept it, and you
Yeah,
are taking it to a fact that there
yeah.
is a reason why. And I always say, when my kids, when I take them to food pantry, I genuinely say this. I said, when you are there to help people, and when they're coming, keep in mind, if somebody's putting a hand I need, they have to put their ego and everything out to
Mm-hmm.
put that hand forward. So give this with the dignity. Give them
Mm-hmm.
with the respect. Don't question their integrity about why they are doing this, because nobody wants to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and they are doing it because they have no other means.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another question that I always think. So when you run this pantry, so let's say I'm running a food pantry and I come to your door, you give that food at a subsidized price, right? Is that how it works?
It's a
Or
bit like that. Actually, a lot of the food that we give out to food pantries is at no cost.
no cost?
So we rely at Connecticut Foodshare on donors to give us their support. So to get food to your food pantry, we need to have someone, well, a whole team who's working with our food donors to talk to them to get them to want to donate food to us. We have to have a warehouse that has forklifts, shelving, staff to select the orders that you're getting. We need to have someone who's driving a truck, a CDL. All of that takes money to happen. We know this. And we rely on donors to help support Connecticut Food Share and pay for keeping the lights on, paying our staff who can keep the warehouse running. Because a lot of the food is donated, we don't have to buy the food. It's donated to us, but we have to make sure we're inspecting it and handling it safely and get it out to partners. So most of the food that we distribute is at no
It's no
cost.
cost.
We do have a bulk purchasing program where partners that work with us, when you get food donated by the food industry, you can't predict what you're going to get in a day. It depends on, maybe they over ordered cabbage today, so we're going to get their cabbage. Maybe they put too many raisins in the cinnamon raisin bread, and so it doesn't meet their standards. It's going to get donated to us.
I see.
And so we can't predict always what's going to come through our doors. So for partners that want to have a little bit more stability, they can purchase food through Connecticut Foodshare at our cost. We buy a tractor trailer load full of peanut butter, for example, and we're buying at wholesale pricing, and we make it available to partners at that price with no markup. So it's a way to access food that you might need that would be less expensive than if you on your food pantry went out and bought it on your own. It's really the power of all of our pantries working together and doing a big purchase together,
So
if
it's
that
like,
makes
so
sense.
yes, it does. Thank you. So if I have a food pantry,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm asking these questions, I know this, but I want to make sure that the listener
Sure.
understand
Yeah.
this, right? So I have a food pantry. I am in your network. Given that
Mm-hmm.
there is an opportunity, because right now you said you're not taking
Not
any
right now, but
right
we're
now
always happy to talk to
talked, right?
people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if I'm in your network, I am trying to get through the process where I want, let's say, the coconut oil.
Mm-hmm.
I knock your door and I said, I'm interested in a coconut oil. Given that you have it, you would give it, or if there is if it was not donated, you will give it at a subsidized rates, right?
Exactly.
That's the
Yep.
two options that
Yeah. Well, there's a third option. We also, well, four. There's a few options.
okay,
So, partners that get food from us, all of our food is in an inventory, so they can go online and place their food orders.
okay,
We have the donated food from the food industry. We have that purchased food where it's that bulk purchasing. We also have some food that we receive from the federal government and from the state of Connecticut. They help us purchase some of the food, and that food is available for partners to order. That food has to go to people who agree that they meet a certain income
so you have
threshold.
to see those two.
Yeah, and so we have that. And then locally, we have staff who are working with grocery stores to help find food donations that go directly to the food pantry and they never come through our warehouse. So, for example, a stop and shop down the road might have extra food that they couldn't sell for whatever reason. Instead of bringing it back to our warehouse and then getting it out, we have a food pantry partner who will go pick up that food and get it out to people the next day.
So do you also have to, you're serving the community, you're serving
Mm-hmm.
the local food pantries and all other channels through which the food makes it to the hunger program, but do you also have to market to certain organization that we are continuously looking for donations?
Yes. Yeah, we
Is
have.
that a part of your job, or there is a team?
That's not a part of my job. So we
Okay.
have a food sourcing team, and their entire job is to talk to different food donors, ranging from farmers to people who are making food to grocery stores, to talk to them about what we do and how we can help support them if they have extra of anything, instead of having to worry about throwing out that food or whatever it may be. We're able to rescue that food, and our our food sourcing team is working on that. We also have a team of people who are out talking to different companies and individuals who want to help, and we ask them for financial support to help support the work that we do. Everything we do at Connecticut Foodshare couldn't be done without the help of businesses, corporations, government, individuals, all doing what they can, whether it's volunteering, donating food, donating time. It really takes a village to make it all happen.
So, from your time which you started 12 years ago and today,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that the the ratio of 1 to, because that is, it's in my head, I'm keep
Yeah.
thinking the ratio of 1 to 6 has only gone bigger?
We had a time before the pandemic where need was down, where we really saw things coming into place. There was still need and there was still persistent need, but the numbers were going down. Since the pandemic, the numbers have only grown. I have never seen it this bad in my 12 years. The need is the greatest right now than it's ever been in my time at the food
What do
bank.
you think? Does your team does analysis as to what drives this?
Yeah, so Feeding America, they issue a study every year. It's called Map the Meal Gap. You're welcome to look
Map
that
the meal gap.
Map the Meal
Okay.
Gap, where every year they're looking at hunger across the country at the county level. And what they look at are things like employment rates, cost of living, home ownership. And what we're seeing driving here in Connecticut, and what I'm hearing from people, what's driving them coming to a food pantry is cost of living is on the rise, the cost of food is on the rise, cost of housing is on the rise. And all of that combined is making it really hard for people to make it all work.
Yeah, I mean, the cost of living is definitely high.
Yeah, we're all feeling it. I know, if you go to any grocery store, eggs have been in the news. Eggs are expensive.
I remember in 99 when I first came, the bagel and coffee was $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best bagels or coffee, but it filled you up. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's like
You can't find that
the
anywhere. Yeah, and people are, trying to make it all work, but wages haven't, increased at the same rate
but the
as the cost of
minimum wage
living.
has gone up
Yeah,
comparatively what it was.
yeah, and I'm not an expert on that, but I know it has gone
Yeah,
up.
yeah, it
But
has
I would say it's not enough for what
enough.
people need. Yeah, you
It's,
can work multiple jobs in this time and still not be able to make it all work if you have a family. Childcare.
yeah, it's not easy. I wish my kids were here today. They
They'll
could
be able
learn.
to listen. Well, your kids, they help out at the food
They
pantry.
do, but it's
They do.
always reality check. It's
Oh,
always
yeah.
there. If I tell them to listen a podcast, they will most likely not on the TV. But
Hmm.
here they have no choice. I
Okay.
take their phones.
Yeah.
At least
Captive
they pretend
audience.
to me that they don't have phones. Um, what is the biggest misconception about hunger in Connecticut? Like, what do
Mm,
people think about when they think, because hunger for
yeah.
different people is different.
I think one of the biggest things I hear is not in my town or not anyone I know. That hunger must be in the cities. It must be not my neighbors. Hunger's in every town in Connecticut.
Wait, can you repeat that? I wanna.
Yeah, so people might think hunger's a distant issue. It's happening. I know it's out there, but not in my town, not in my
Because I
neighborhood.
live in a very posh area
Yeah.
and this thing doesn't exist. Is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah. So I will say
Wow,
Fairfield County, one of our wealthiest counties, every town in Fairfield County, there's someone, if not many people, who are food insecure.
really? And Fairfield County is one of the richest county in Connecticut.
Yeah. There's 169 towns in Connecticut. There is food insecurity in every single one of those towns.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And there is definitely genuinely a need.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have food pantry partners in Greenwich who are serving people and serving them very well.
Greenwich.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, so you think that's the biggest thing that you find? Wow.
Yeah,
That's very
yeah,
amazing to hear that.
yeah. I think we might have, because hunger is a hidden issue. It's not, you can't look at someone and say, oh, they're food insecure. You don't know what someone's going through, and it's often, for whatever reason, there might be some shame involved in not being able to afford what you need and worrying about where your meal is coming from. So someone might be struggling and you might have no idea.
Does your organization also do a study and do a comparison against another nation and see at a global level, is America m-
Oh,
at the
Yeah.
lowest, or is it at the medium, or is it the highest when it comes to hunger?
I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I would guess that there's probably some countries that are better off, but there's also countries that we know there's significantly more and deeper need.
Interesting.
I'd be interested. You should look it up and
I'm gonna.
tell me later.
I actually was planning to
Yeah.
look up, but I hold on to it, so I thought I'll ask
Yeah.
an expert on this. Um,
I'm not
this
I'm not an expert on food insecurity by any
by any means.
means. No.
This is genuinely my question. I while I was driving to this place, I thought I'll make sure I'll ask this. With the way the current trend is,
Mhm.
everybody's moving towards healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
The food become a forefront of health. Like my 13-year-old morning does not want to eat cereal. He
Mhm.
wants to eat Greek yogurt with the chia seeds
Ooh,
and the granola bars and
good
all
for
that.
him.
Um, so what I'm trying to, my question is that in school there is an education around healthy food, right? um, the whole world is moving, or at least in America, there is a wave about healthy food. Unlike when I came to United States in the 99, this was not the forefront of things,
Mhm.
right? With all this said, the basic food needs that we are trying to cater to the hungers, does the quality of food has also changed the way it was like 15 years ago or 20 years ago?
You ask such good questions, and the answer is yes, it has. We know in the food space, the hunger space, that hunger and health are so connected. So if you can imagine you're going to a food pantry, maybe you have a diet related disease like diabetes or heart disease. We want to make sure you can access food that will be good for your health, because if not, and you're just getting any food from the pantry, maybe it's not what you need for your health, you're going to only just stay in the situation you are with your health. It might get worse. Your medical bills are going to go up, and you're going to be in this cycle. And so at food banks, certainly over the last several years, there's been a real movement to prioritize healthy food. And not to tell people what they can eat, but really to level the playing field, to make sure just because you're going to a food pantry doesn't mean that you won't be able to get the food that you need that's good for your health, whatever those needs might be. So at our food bank, we actually have a nutrition policy. So we're prioritizing food whenever we can. We can't control everything we get, right? It's donated. But when we do have a choice, we're looking for food that's low in sodium, low in sugar, low in cholesterol, low in fat, because we know that's good for health. And we also hear from the people we serve what they want: produce, meat, dairy. They want food that can make a real meal and that's good for their health. And so we've really been focusing on that. And even at the food pantry level, some food pantries use a system that we have called Supporting Wellness at Pantries. And it's where you can rank your foods red, yellow, green, like a stoplight. Some grocery stores have this too. Green foods are low in fat, sugar, sodium. Yellow foods might be a little bit higher in those items, and red, very high. And it's eat often, eat sometimes, eat rarely. And we want people to eat whatever food and choose the food that works best for them. But if you're someone who's really focusing on those healthier foods, we want it to be easy for you to access that
So there
food.
is a continuous
Yeah.
evaluation on the.
Yeah, we every food item that comes through our food bank, we're ranking it based on those nutrition standards so that our pantries can know when they're ordering. So when you order food for your food pantry, if we have enough of that food, we can look up the nutrition value and you'll see if it's red, yellow, or green. So if you're a pantry that might want to be focused on healthy food, you can help make those decisions in your ordering and how you're distributing food. I will say it's getting harder and harder though for us to prioritize just healthy food because the need is so immense right now. We really have to take as much food as is given to us. We don't really have the luxury of turning away food right
Wow.
now.
So, okay. So, what is that you find as, where there are humans, obviously there will be a place where they will do things which are not ethically correct. In your journey of 12 years or in this space,
Mm-hmm.
when you interact with those certain food banks or food pantries and whatnot, do you see that sometimes people take advantage of
Mm-hmm.
the scenarios where you may see that this is not right,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you tackle them if if there is a scenario like, or
That's a really good question. I'll say our pantry network at Connecticut Foodshare is incredible, and it's people who are volunteers often doing what they can. You, for example, you have a full time job. Your full time job is not running a food pantry, but in your spare time, you're running a food pantry with your family. And so, what we try to do at Connecticut Foodshare is we work with our partners to understand and educate on food safety, on best practices for making it really welcoming and dignified for people. So, if there is an issue happening at a pantry, how we approach it first is to help understand why something might be happening the way it is and really help offer that support on best practices and guidance. Often people are so busy doing all the things that they're doing to run their pantry, run their lives. We try to step in and support when
so
we
there are
can with that
controlling
guidance.
process, like you do
Yeah.
evaluate them on a X number
Yeah,
of
so
time.
as it being part of Feeding America, we have really high standards that we meet. One thing that's really important to us is food safety. For me, food safety is how I tell someone I respect them and I serve them with dignity. Just because you're going to a food pantry doesn't mean that you should have to worry, will this food get me sick? And we have certain standards that have to be met. Cold food needs to be held at right temperatures. We need to make sure we're monitoring for pests. These things might sound really basic, but they're controls that we have in place with our partners that they're all practicing so that we know that when we're serving someone, they're getting food that's going to be good for their health and good for them.
So do you go like, is are you like more of a vigilant, where you go as a vigilant force to the knock the doors? Okay, I want to check now, or
That's
you?
such a good question.
Sorry, I
No,
don't know if it's the right, even a right word to
no,
put in.
no, I know what you're saying. So, I mean, we work with our partners as partners, and that's how we try to approach it. But at the end of the day, there are certain standards that have to be met. And so we have staff who go out and inspect food pantries.
Sometimes randomly, sometimes with.
Yeah, it depends.
It
Yeah, it
depends.
depends.
But
Yeah,
I
but
see the smile on your face. So is that something you want to share? That
yeah, so I'll say at Connecticut Food Share, we work with our partners and we do inspect them every other year, and sometimes more often if we need to, if there's something that might be going on.
okay? Before I forget, one last question. I promise.
Sure.
My friend asked me, and I want to make sure that I get it right. Um, he wanted to know that how do you ensure that the demographically the food is going to the places where it's how equally is getting
Sure.
and
That's a good question. You're hitting on all the strategic questions that we talk about as our food bank. How are we dealing with rising need? How are we working with our donors? What about healthy food? So at Connecticut Food Share, we have data on all of the towns that we're serving and how much food we're giving to those towns and how many people are in need in those towns. And so we do that analysis to help prioritize where our food is going and focus on the areas that have the biggest gap, knowing
okay.
that food insecurity is in all of the towns. It's a and right now with need changing so much, it's hard to hit that target and to see where we're needing to go. But it is something that we're always looking at and striving towards.
How does technology helps you with all this?
We have a great data team at Connecticut Food Share, and they use Tableau and different ways of analyzing. So I have access to data that I can look at in real time to see what's happening with our partners and what they're reporting to us in terms of how many people they're serving. So it's really helpful.
Do you think AI will make it even more better?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, Tableau is something 10 years ago I can see.
Yeah,
Now it's
maybe. I don't know. So I'm not a really big technology person. I will say that this work at the end of the day is all centered around people. So I don't think you'll ever be able to remove people from this work, like what we're talking about right now. It's human connection, all of this and what we're doing in relationships.
I always say to my kids, I'm not a technical person, but I understand to a degree. Um, my kids are not technical either. And I tell them that don't worry about it, because you know why? Because in another 20 years, human touch will be a luxury. So
Mm-hmm.
be a luxury.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that. Human interaction at the
I
end of
think,
the day, relationships are how this works.
yeah. And a human touch, people will lose that touch because people will have, if you are so used to the gadgets and everything,
Mm-hmm.
people, I have a friend who I asked him one day in the morning, what are you doing? He said, I'm heading to a Starbucks. He's younger to me, a decade younger to me. I said, okay. He said, I just ordered a Starbucks on my app. I said, why? He said, I don't know what to talk when I go there.
Um,
So I just want to make sure that when I reach there, my cup is there and I leave. I said, if I had to do this, I would not enjoy that coffee.
right?
I need to talk to a person.
Yeah.
I want to know about that individual. Like, at least have some
Well, that's
conversation.
how you build those connections. And
Yes.
as someone running a food pantry, if that's what you're doing, connecting with the people who are coming through your doors, there's more to everyone's story. And sometimes people are just looking, they need the support, but also that connection is so important.
Yes.
Knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah. I would love to continue this. If there is one thing that you would like to give to a message to someone who wants to serve a community, as you started initially, you mentioned that, sometimes you want to open a pantry, doesn't mean you have to. You can support with the current force that is out there. What is that one message if you had to give it to a sixth grader?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sixth grader today, what would be that message you would give to sixth grader?
I would say start small and do what you can. Do something. If you care about food insecurity, do something. Call the food pantry in your town, see what food they need. Maybe they need peanut butter this month, and then organize a peanut butter food drive. Do something. Don't let fear or worry about, am I going to get it right, hold you back, because we all have a gift to give, and trying something is how you're going to learn and grow and make a difference. And if you help one person, that's one person you helped, someone who's better off.
And this story is all about, lucky, this story is about, if one person can listen to this and if they can serve to the community, we did it.
And I'll say, I get so much more out of this work than I think. Service doesn't just help the people who we serve, it helps me
It's
feel.
very satisfying.
It is. Yeah.
It's more than, my wife works for Parkinson,
Oh,
for Michael J. Fox, and she has done MBA and everything, but she wants to. So I asked her, I said, what I'm doing, I'm serving to the humanity. It's like something meaningful. And that's true.
because we're all connected.
We're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a couple of times you said peanut butter. You love peanut butter?
I guess I do. No, I just peanut butter is something people ask for a lot. I do like
Uh,
peanut butter though.
Peanut butter and jelly is my all-time favorite.
Oh, it is? It's a
All time.
great combo, great
Combo.
combination.
I love it. Well, thank you very much for
Thank
taking this
you.
time. This is wonderful.
It
Thank
was
you
great.
very much.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it. Thank you.